the Nith Valley in the southernmost part of Scotland, once the place of my childhood, and now my final chapters. An area of outstanding beauty and heritage, the broad expanses of tidal waters, mudflats, sand dunes and rocky coves that open the gates to rolling hills, ruined castles, abbeys, and rich farmlands stretching into sheep-covered moors and wind-swept villages. Killaveragh Castle has stood here for 400 years, the epitome of medieval strongholds, its turbulent history owing much to its proximity to England. Built by the Maxwell family, Scottish lairds granted these lands by the Scottish king Alexander II. Great battles between Scotland and England still echo from the walls. Besieged by Edward I of England, who left the last defenders hung to the walls to die, to the merriment of his troops, the castle was besieged several more times by Scots, then English, till finally the Great Siege in 1640, when the castle was destroyed, when Maxwell had sided with Charles I. Abandoned at that time, it stands today much as it had looked when the last siege engine was trundled away by a victorious army. Further west stands Dumfries, since Roman times a major market town, birthplace of much that makes up our modern world. In 1839, the first bicycle, the world's first savings bank, John Barry, author of Peter Pan, Frank Williams of F1 fame, to name just four. However, it is Robert Burns, peasant poet and lyricist, whose name it is most closely linked. Hardly a street or bar in Dumfries does not have some reference to Rabbie, who came to live in Dumfries in 1790 for what proved to be the last 6 years of his short life of 38 years. A pioneer of the Romantic movement, who, after his death, became a great source of inspiration to the founders of liberalism and socialism, even becoming the people's poet of Russia. Rabbie is best known for his song Auld Lang Syne, which is recognized as one of the most popular songs of the English language, second only to Happy Birthday and For He's a Jolly Good Fellow. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind, should old acquaintance be forgot and Auld Lang Syne. His words and songs have influenced such modern singers as Michael Jackson, Bob Dylan, and writers such as Salinger and Steinbeck. Robbie had 12 children by 4 different women. His last was born to his wife, Jean Armour, on the day of his funeral. Not far from Dumfries lies New Abbey, taking its name from the Cistercian monastery, which was founded in 1275 by Deirdre of Galloway, daughter of a Gaelic prince, in memory of her husband Sir John, 5th Baron de Balliol. When Sir John died in 1269, his widow, Deirdre, had his heart embalmed and kept in a casket of ivory bound with silver. She carried it with her as she travelled, carrying out many good works, which included the foundation of a college for the poor at the University of Oxford, which is still in existence today. She married Sir John when she was 13 years old and bore him 9 children, including a future king, King John of Scotland. The abbey fell into disrepair, and the original gravestones lost during the Protestant Reformation. But Deirdre is buried here beside her husband, and thus the monks renamed the abbey to Sweetheart Abbey, a name that it retains to this day. We travel north up the valley of the Nith, along twisting roads, past rich agricultural land, great houses and majestic parish churches, hinting at the vast wealth of the area in a bygone day. We are heading to one of Dumfries's greatest treasures. Between 1951 and 1976, local landowner Sir William Keswick assembled a collection of sculptures. The first of these is the standing figure. Here, in this valley, you can stand alone and feel free to touch the sculpture, worth some £3 million. Next, and perhaps the most striking of these sculptures, is the larger-than-life figure of John the Baptist by Rodin. On the hillside overlooking the lake, The King and Queen by Moore, sculptured in 1953 to celebrate the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. The most remote, and by far the most beautiful, is situated in a small atmospheric copse of Scots pine. The Visitation by Sir Jacob Epstein. The model was a music student. Her modest demeanour attracted Epstein for this work, depicting the Virgin Mary visiting her cousin Elizabeth with news that she was to give birth to Jesus. All the sculptures are in bronze except this one, the two-piece reclining figure, modelled by Moore in fiberglass. He said of this work, "Knees and breasts are mountains. Once these two parts become separated, you don't expect it to be a naturalistic figure. Therefore, you can, justifiably, make it like a landscape." Leaving Glenkiln, we climb into the Lowther Hills and the villages of Wenlock Head and Lead Hills, once called Scotland's Treasure House. These are the highest villages in Scotland. The area has a long history of major lead, silver and gold mining. Lead was mined in the Lead Hills from 1100, and in about 1500 the village also had a gold mine. By 1660 the mines were profitable enough to justify building roads the 50 miles to Edinburgh to allow the ore to be exported. However, the last mine is now closed, but one can still see the dereliction left behind, and, on a windy day, understand the hardships of those hard-worked moles who worked here some 50 years ago. The railway was built on the trackbed of the original Caledonian Railway branch line, built to transport lead and other minerals from the mines at Wenlock Head and Lead Hills to the main industrial towns of Britain and Europe. They were opened in 1901 and closed some 38 years later. This is Britain's highest narrow-gauge adhesion railway, reaching 1,498 feet above sea level. Operated and managed now by a team of dedicated enthusiasts, all of whom are volunteers. Coming down from Wenlock Head, we see 3 men gold prospecting. There is still a lot of gold in the area, but it is uneconomic and damaging to the environment to mine. However, for a small licence fee of £15 paid to the Buccleuch estate, you can spend all your spare time peering into the river, sieving mud and sand with the help of a pan and sluice, searching the streams for the glinting treasure. So perhaps a holiday in the southwest of Scotland can be more rewarding than you think. I end this little glimpse of my Scottish home with a sad epilogue. 3 days after we filmed the sculptures at Glenkiln, the most valuable, the standing figure by Henry Moore, was stolen. In recent years there have been fears such works are a target of metal thieves, to sell for a fraction of their true value, to be smelted and lost to the art world forever. All the sculptures have been removed, save the 2-piece reclining figure by Moore, which was modelled in fiberglass. A sad end to the dreams and courage of a Scottish landowner who allowed all free access.